We're learning that DeSantis refused to take a call from Vice President Harris specifically around Hurricane Milton. Can you just talk about that and any communication around this new hurricane?
Look, that is something for the governor to speak to himself. If you have the president and you have the vice president reaching out to offer up assistance provided to your constituents, the people who live in your state, to make sure we are doing everything that we need to do from federal response, and we're reaching out, offering our support. That's for the governor. The governor is up to him if he wants to respond to us or not. But what we're doing is we're working with state and local officials to make sure that we are pre-positioned, to make sure that we are ready to be there for the communities that are going to be impacted. We are doing the job that is needed, that we believe is needed to protect the communities and to make sure that they have everything that is needed. You heard me talk about the declaration. We approved that for Florida. That's moving forward. And so we're taking this very, very seriously. That's for the governor to speak to. That is.
Well, DeSantis probably still hasn't talked to her, and she did have something to say about that.
Is that there's a lot of mis and disinformation being pushed out there by the former president about what is available, in particular to the survivors of Helene. And first of all, it's extraordinarily irresponsible. It's about him. It's not about you. And the reality is that FEMA has so many resources that are available to folks who desperately need them now, and resources that are about helping people get back on their feet and rebuild and have places to go. You are entitled to these resources. People are entitled to these resources, and it is critically important that people apply for the help that is there to support. That all of those resources were created for just these kinds of moments in an emergency situation, knowing that folks are entitled to have the relief that they so rightly need at this moment in time.
President, Governor DeSantis, NBC is reporting Governor DeSantis is ignoring your calls on hurricanes, resources, and help. How does that hurt the situation here?
You know, moments of crisis, if nothing else, should really be the moment that anyone who calls themselves a leader says they're going to put politics aside and put the people first. People are in desperate need of support right now, and playing political games with this moment in these crisis situations, these are the height of emergency situations, is just utterly irresponsible, and it is selfish, and it is about political gamesmanship instead of doing the job that you took an oath to do, which is to put the people first.
But I bet you he got that assistance. Matter of fact, he did make a statement this evening saying that he got that assistance. And it seems that he's really trying to dodge that question of why he wouldn't accept the call. But he knew that he could go around that call to try and save face. But he probably could have expedited a lot of things. Some people say maybe it wasn't even necessary. But are you really working together to help your people by not taking the call? Well, I guess now that there's another hurricane on the way, things are different. So this video is all about the real response, what's really happening, as opposed to how the Republican Party is trying to make it seem, even though they're getting everything that they need, in spite of another hurricane on their heels.
In the wake of Hurricane Helene, more than 200 people are dead, and thousands of homes have been destroyed. Some people on social media have argued that the federal government isn't doing enough to help the survivors. Many claim FEMA is only offering $750 to Hurricane Helene victims. Others say that money is a loan that has to be paid back. Using these sources, here's what we can verify about relief aid for Hurricane Helene victims. On October 2nd, during a trip to Georgia to survey storm damage, Vice President Kamala Harris announced that the federal government had approved the governor's request for 100% reimbursement of local costs. As part of that relief, she said FEMA is providing
$750 for folks who need immediate needs being met, such as food, baby formula, and the like, and you can apply now.
But that's not the only assistance available. The $750 payment is for immediate assistance. FEMA also provides displacement assistance, which pays for a victim's hotel or motel stay while they work on their long-term housing plan, repair and replacement assistance, rental assistance, and personal property assistance, among other things. As for claims the $750 from FEMA is a loan, that's not true either. Jacqueline Rothenberger, Public Affairs Director for FEMA, posted to X that the $750 serious needs assistance is not a loan. We do not ask for this money back, Rothenberg said. People can apply for disaster relief through disasterassistance.gov, the FEMA app, at a disaster recovery center location, or by calling the FEMA helpline.
Now, according to the Republican Party, as said by Trump, J.D. Vance, and his son Eric, this is worse than Hurricane Katrina, and the response is disastrous. Now, you just heard what's available. Let's take it state by state to see what's actually been done.
Democratic Party, they can't do anything right. They can't do anything right. You see it this week in the FEMA response in North Carolina.
In North Carolina, the governor and the senator said, "You're lying."
There's a lot of misinformation. In fact, there's some belief and understanding that may be coming from foreign sources just to confuse on the ground what's happening here. I saw a county mayor every single day with tears in their eyes, emotional, serving the people alongside their FEMA and TEMA counterparts in their EOCs. There's nothing but commitment to serving the people in this state, and those who spread that kind of misinformation, it's deeply unfortunate that that's happening.
I've lived in North Carolina for almost 30 years. I've seen a lot of storms come through this state. I'm actually impressed with how much attention was paid to a region that wasn't likely to have experienced the impact that they did. This is a new playbook for anybody who thinks that any level of government, anybody here, could have been prepared precisely for what we're dealing with here, clearly are clueless. They're doing a great job. There can always work harder. There's always kinks in the slinky. We're working them out behind the scenes, but I think we're all here to send a message that we're working together, and I'm pretty proud of the effort that's been done now.
And in Georgia.
In Georgia, once again.
Just wanted to give you an update on, after being on the ground for the last 2 days and then getting back here and getting briefed, wanted to give everybody an update of where we stand right now on the response to Hurricane Helene. I actually just got off the phone with President Biden and Secretary Vilsack. As you know, they're coming into the state today. I thanked them for visiting and also thanked them for thank the President for adding the additional counties to the disaster declaration. I did tell him that I felt certain he would hear on the road that there's still a lot of other counties out there that are expressing frustration that they haven't been added to that list yet. So he's aware of that situation on the ground, and Director Stallings and the team continues to work with FEMA in regards to that.
And in South Carolina.
South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster and the South Carolina Department of Employment and Workforce say you may be eligible for disaster unemployment assistance. Counties include Aiken, Bamberg, Barnwell, and Saluda. FEMA has also approved individual assistance for those same counties. In addition, Governor McMaster says he expedited major presidential disaster declaration, and it has been approved, or he is expediting that for approval.
We're bringing in a Air Force, but Air Guard resource from Florida. It's called a Red Horse unit. It's a small unit, but it brings a lot of capability as it relates to what we need right now, and that's debris clearing capability. So we look forward to having those soldiers or airmen from Florida tomorrow.
That's in addition to the 600 South Carolina National Guard soldiers currently dispatched across the state, some already in our area. Their mission has been mostly to help clear roads, but now it's moving to whatever individual counties need. Because our area still looks like this, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division also has agents in our area, specifically Aiken, McCormick, Edgefield, Saluda, and the city of North Augusta. More agents are on the way to Allendale, Barnwell, Bamberg, Edgefield, and McCormick counties. The South Carolina Department of Transportation has had an additional 87 crews move in to help. That's up from just 60 yesterday.
In Florida.
Not an approximation that you can hang your hat on about where this storm is actually going to make landfall. All folks on the west coast of the Florida Peninsula should be prepared for potential major impacts. We have made a pre-landfall declaration request from FEMA for support, and the federal government has approved a portion of our request for pre-landfall items, and we expect the remaining parts of our request subsequent to landfall for debris and individual assistance once the storm hits will also be approved.
Now, 5 days ago, when he already had everything he needed, he was coming up with problems that weren't even happening.
One of the things I'm concerned about is potentially these ports getting hung up. I think it's totally unacceptable to try to intentionally deprive people of the supplies they need to be able to rebuild their homes when they've been displaced at a natural disaster.
Now, right here, DeSantis is just complaining about something that hasn't even happened. He's worried about, probably, it will be a shame if. And then you hear the words Biden and Harris.
And there is the prospect of things that are critical for the rehabbing and recovery of here and other parts of Florida that may get hung up in some of this work stoppage. But if all of a sudden this stuff starts getting backed up and it starts getting delayed days, weeks, or even more, that's going to be intolerable. So I'm committed to pulling whatever levers I can to make sure that that happens. But I think it would be really, really bad luck for the Biden-Harris administration to allow supplies to just be sitting in the Atlantic Ocean.
This was the strike. And if you know anything about shipping, it would have took a pretty long time for a shipping issue in the Atlantic to really affect the town. So nothing stopped. But he was steady complaining about it to make it seem like things were gonna stop, but it never happened. In light of everything that you've heard this evening, do you think that future disasters would be, let's say, handed out relief by whether you're a Democratic state or a Republican state? Do you think, listening to what you just heard, that this could be a possibility if Trump wins? Let me know.